Austintown's fire chief says preliminary findings appear to show the apartment building explosion over the weekend was, quote, likely a result of a natural gas explosion. Now, so far, investigators have not found the source of the natural gas or what may have ignited it. The building is deemed uninhabitable until further notice. So to learn how they're going to determine if residents can ever return to the Phoenix house and if the building is salvageable, let's turn now to a structural engineer and YSU engineering professor, Dr. Anwar Islam. Thank you so much for being with us, doctor.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when you look at the explosion itself, what caused the damage to this building, what are the first steps engineers take to determine the safety of the structure?
Well, first thing is to do is the structural evaluation of beams and columns, which makes the building frames. The integrity of the building frames contribute to the overall stability of the structure. So a beam failure may lead to a local failure, but a column failure may lead to a progressive collapse of the entire structure. So the first thing to do is evacuate the residents, turn off the gas and water mains and the electricity, and then carefully inspect the conditions of the beams and columns and the floors and the overall framing of the damaged location and its surroundings.
When you look at a building like this where the explosion took place, what do you do in terms of looking at the foundation and knowing that that's able to support everything? Is that something else you have to check?
Yeah, the explosion occurred on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors, mainly focusing on the 4th. I don't think there is any foundation damage because of these explosions.
Okay. And could you potentially rebuild or triage the damage, knowing that maybe that part is stable then?
Well, of course, but again, like I said, the beam column framings must be inspected to make sure that they are stable. There is no damage in the beams and columns. There is no local failure of the webs or flanges or not any deflections. So if everything is confirmed that there is no structural damage to the frames, then this can be repaired easily. There's nothing, anything difficult.
Would there be any longer term concerns, or would you expect inspections long term just to make sure that the quality of the building is still okay and maintained?
Yes. The long term problems could be if we do not inspect them carefully, like if there is any cracks or any damage that are not seen now but can be hidden under the repairs. So those could be the most problematic stuff. So in order to ensure that there is no long-term problems with this, we just have to make sure that all the beams and all the columns, those make the frames of the building, those are intact and they did not suffer any damage.
Good to know.
That's the most important part of.
Yeah, and I did speak with you here on 21 News at 5 following the explosion at the Realty Tower building in downtown Youngstown. That building had to be demolished and it was caused by a natural gas explosion. The fire chief in Austintown says it's just likely that the building's damage was caused by a natural gas explosion. How difficult are repairs when it comes to explosions? I would imagine it's not a uniform piece of damage that they're dealing with.
Well, this is different from the Realty building explosion, where I believe a couple of columns were damaged, compromising the structural stability of the Realty building. But here, I visited the Phoenix house yesterday and I took some pictures, visually analyzed them. I did not see any structural damage to the beams or columns that can be seen from outside. And what I can see is the repair should not be anything difficult from my perspective, since there is no structural damage of the building's frames.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Islam. I know a lot of folks were wondering, how does this maybe compare to that case? And then also, we know people are gathering donations. Thank you so much for giving us an update on the structural integrity of that building itself.